Good evening and welcome, Razorback fans, to the one and only Hog Talk podcast live from the Sterling Soap and Roastery Studios, part of the Believe and Buzz Radio Network, where you can hear us each week on Buzz 2 in Central Arkansas. All our shows are presented to you by Arkansas Brewing Company in downtown Ozark. I'm Porter Hayes. Alongside me, as always, is Adam Hall. And tonight's show, it's all postseason Razorbacks, as we have the softball team. As you see, I'm wearing the helmet. Adam has pine tar still on it. I was given this from a friend, so excuse the sticky fingers trying to press the buttons tonight. But huge congratulations to the women's softball team for advancing to the Women's College World Series for the first time. And we'll talk in the second segment all about the baseball team. Did they get snubbed? Will it work out being a 2 seed in Kansas? But we'll start right off from the bat. Adam, birthday was Saturday. Me and the wife went out to steak dinner at Whitaker's, and then we went out to see my sister north of town at the Paradise Pizza Pub and watched Arkansas rule Duke. And I'm telling you what, it was the most joyful experience covering this is probably one of the happiest times I've had covering the women's programs, being a part of the podcast. It was just so rewarding seeing them finally clinch, finally get the monkey off their back, finally get to Oklahoma City. And we posted a picture of, Courtney Deifel just hands in the air, hang it in, Crystal Bridges, get the mold ready for the statue, because that's what that moment means to this program and what it means to another women's program doing so well at the University of Arkansas.
We've been talking about this for the summer. Actually, will be 3 years we've been talking about this with softball. I mean, obviously we've been talking about all the other sports, but finally softball, like you said, gets the monkey off their back. This is what we have been talking about. What Courtney Deifel has done year after year is finding what caused them to lose the season prior, filling in those gaps, and making it making a better team, a better coaching staff. This is something that we have been preaching and talking about for the last 3 years, and it is finally coming full circle for her to get her chance, because like we've talked about, there's nobody I feel like that deserves to be here more than Courtney Deifel and the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Absolutely. The weather, game one in the rain, you talk about a big part of it. Robin Herron was struggling in the rain, struggling getting her footing. Both teams were really. I mean, Arkansas, scored 2 runs in the first inning, and then Duke comes back with another home run, takes it 3-2, and then the weather delay. They bring in Tierman to try to come in and fill that void. That's where the pitching depth came into play. You had Burnham, you had Herron, you were able to bring Robin back in game 2, and just the dominant performance game 3, shutting it down, being, I believe, don't get me lying to you, but I'm pretty sure. I know they said Arizona did all but one game, but I don't know if Arkansas was the first team to ever run rule every opponent in regional and super regional. I remember there was a graphic that Arizona had done it all but one game. or they had tied the record. So if that is true, I mean, that's amazing feat. Advancing, now they have to play against Nebraska. Now, Jordy Ball there. You have the Kemsin twins. There's a lot going into you're in the top 8. It is going to be okay, Adam. How do you the emotions? This is the highest you've ever been emotional with Coach Deifel, the team, the program. I'm just wondering how hard is that going to be to reset all of that to prepare for this game on Thursday?
And that's a valid question. And I think looking at it, with Arkansas not being there before, there's going to be a lot of emotions in it. But I feel like as business savvy as Courtney Neifel is, as we're going to get through, we've still got a task at hand. We're going to get through this. We're going to, it's going to be business as usual when it comes to Courtney Neifel and her teams. Mm-hmm. I truly do not feel like in a lot of this, I mean, we talk about coach speak a lot. I don't think that there's anybody better when it comes to just hearing the tone in her voice, the demeanor of we still have a task at hand and we're going to go get the damn thing done.
Yeah.
That whenever I listen to her talk, that's just the gut feeling that I get is just, we're going to go get this done. It's finally here. Absolutely. They're finally in Oklahoma City. Like Transatlantic said, we don't have to deal with Oklahoma.
Yep.
So it's one of those that we've talked about in the past. We've talked about in March Madness and other sports of luck and things happening before, helping you out. It's a lot of this in Omaha, now in Oklahoma City, March Madness, a lot of things take luck on top of the skill. So right now, Arkansas has, I'm not going to say all the luck, but things are falling into place for them to be able to do this, knock on wood.
Yeah. And I have to give a shout out, Paris legend, Jaden Wells. I've played softball with her parents for years, watched her in pigtails running around the softball fields there at Paris. And for her to, believe in the system, we're seeing a lot of these kids in the transfer portal, somebody who truly loves the Razorbacks, local kid, one of those that gets limited action. And for her to stay with the program, her to just have so much joy of just what is about being like, if you want to talk about those in-state kids, we talk about Grant Morgan, we talk about all these basketball players, football players. You have a kid right there in Jaden Wells from Paris that the ultimate Razorback, loves playing for Coach Deifel, loves playing for the Hogs, and just want to give a huge shout out to them because just seeing the emotions, I mean, it was hard for me not to get emotional. It was hard for me not to show the joy because, Adam, we've been in this 7 years. That's where we got linked up with our love for the women's sports and softball and basketball. And to see where, see all the posts of, giving tickets away in 17, watching games and covering games where there was 20 people in the stands. Mm-hmm. And now you see what's happening to that softball program and they're building a juggernaut. I was talking to a friend of mine today and, there's people that are coming back. You have the whole left side coming back next year and they can go out and get anybody in the portal because they're buying into Courtney Neifel. I listened to your show last night on Hog HQ, and you're talking about getting the NIL, getting that help. I think that will come. I think them getting to Oklahoma City will spark somebody believing in them enough to give her a lifetime contract, to give this program the boost it needs to stay where they're at on top.
Yeah, that's definitely, I mean, we've talked about NIL and things of that nature. We've talked about Courtney Deifel needing, she's done everything on her part when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to coaching, all the above. And so the only thing that has been missing now in this world of college sports that we have is NIL. And we all know that if this isn't given, that she's going to find somewhere else that'll give it to her. But I do feel like with this now, you've gotten to Oklahoma City. This is basically like you said, the monkey on the back. this is something that she is just solidifying herself. And at this point, there's no denying the softball program, whatever NIL, whatever they need to get things done, because she has done literally everything that she can do when it comes to transfer portal, when it comes to coaching staff. You and I have talked about bringing in Gasso was
oh my gosh,
one of the things that people may not look at as. I don't think people understand how big of a deal that is, bringing in Gasso and what Arkansas has done. So she has literally done everything possible, everything that could be asked of her as a head coach. So at this point, you know what? She's in Oklahoma City and when I say next to nothing, I just mean next to nothing when it comes to NIL and things of that nature. She is doing the most with the least.
Yes.
So after this, there's no rhyme or reason, no question, whatever. The Arkansas softball program needs whatever Courtney Deifel asks for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you keep Gasso, you keep that. And there's another one. I'd want to get his name right, because this is another one that Parker Staggs, he's been with her from the jump. And he's one of the ones that, he was here, he left, and he came back. And that kid, Matt Michael, I mean, the whole staff, that Coach Deifel has assembled. Mm-hmm. And when you brought up Gasso, I've said this many times, bringing in Gasso was huge, mm-hmm. but the decision to make the upgrade was even huger because the personal ties that Coach Deifel had with Coach Yo. And I say this with the utmost respect of, that had to be one of the hardest things she's ever done as a mm-hmm. coach, the coaching decision, to sit there and know you needed that upgrade and know that this lady is great with the kids. She's a great coach. She's a great person, but you knew that was only getting you so far because they were lacking on not being able to hit the off-speed pitch. They were just struggling, and with the firepower they had, and along with, not having the pitching support, making that decision will be probably the biggest decision she ever made, and it's paying off. And now you're seeing what's happening. I mean, you run Will Duke. I mean, they were a salty squad, mm-hmm. But we did say that the pitching, none of the pitchers were under 4 ERA. So we knew they were going to take advantage of that. Now you're going to be going up against Jordy Ball. You get past that, then you're going to probably face Alabama or LSU. I mean, the elite pitching, this is where Gasso's he's going to earn his money, because now, all right, you did good against Duke. You did good in the regional. Now you need to step it up and make sure you perform against elite pitching, because when the last time Alabama, Arkansas played, it didn't go too well. Brisky, the best pitcher in the SEC, I mean, pretty much shut them down. And then when you had OU, Alyssa Parker from OU and Pecola, they found ways to get around and shut that offense down. So if they can mm-hmm. lock in and really go in there with that chip on their shoulder, all right, this is our first time. We're not going to take it as we're just happy to be here. They have a serious chance to win it all.
Oh, 1,000%. And I think that you bring it up kind of, we just talked about Gasso and Coach Yo's and all this. For a coach to make this decision, I think that is overlooked on our part as fans, on just how difficult that's a decision like that is, with somebody that is so tied to the university, the pro, in whatever sport. It doesn't matter what the sport is. We've seen more often than not, whether it's a change at the top, like football, basketball, whatever, things change. We see coaches that go to other schools while they're still here. We've seen it already in basketball. We've already seen it in football with Coach Silverfield and one of the assistants going elsewhere. But for the coach, the head coach, to make that decision that this change needs to happen, I think it's overlooked just how difficult that is.
Yeah, because she was there from the beginning. I mean, mm-hmm. you help. It's like you help build this program. You help build this house, and you realize part of the house is not developing as much as the other part of the house, and you need to remodel. That's all that happened. But you could see a big difference in just how well these kids hit. And you have studs, Ella McDowell, Brinley Bain. I mean, it's Ella's a sophomore, Brinley's a freshman. Peyton Burnham was a sophomore. You still have Lily Faye McWhorter was a freshman. I think she's going to be a stud coming back. They have so much.
You have a team
talent.
that is you're in Oklahoma City and you're prepared no matter what happens right now. You got to Oklahoma City. So the only ones that I would see going to a transfer portal would be the ones that aren't playing. But at the same time, but you have a team that's now they've got the taste of Oklahoma City. You've got a young team that has the taste of Oklahoma City. So this team is going to return and be an even bigger force. So it's just crazy that, hey, we have this chance right now. And we always talk, next season. In other sports, it's like, next season, just wait till next. But this team next season will be an even bigger force. But what they have going right now is crazy just because of how young they are too.
Yeah. Well, you look at OU. I mean, right now they didn't make the Women's College World Series, and we're already seeing. I mean, I'm not saying their scrubs are hitting the portal, but one of their players just hit the portal, and you're looking, 393 hitter, 34 at bats. I mean, not a lot of at bats, but you're seeing. I don't know. I mean, I'm almost seeing the fact that yes, OU went on their 4 in a row, but we're seeing the fact that NIL. And you had a team like Texas Tech make a huge investment in women's sports. You have teams like Arkansas making investments in women's sports and being good. I almost say like OU softball is kind of like Alabama football. You're seeing other teams start to catch up. They're not used to losing. Now that they haven't made it to the Women's College World Series. They're not going to win it all. You're starting to see a shift in some of these programs that are used to winning, and then they don't, and they can't handle it. Now you're seeing a foundation crumble. You're seeing characteristics in Coach Gasso, OU Gasso, was talking about it. Her players are just not wired like they used to be. They're not in it to win it. They don't have that dog mentality. And there was games where they got beat. You think of the old OU, Mississippi State would have snuck one by them, and then they would probably come back and run rolled them both times. But for Mississippi State to come back and go to OU and beat them 6-0 in Norman speaks volumes, one, about the talent that is coming into the SEC, what Mississippi State is doing, who their coach was a former Gasso player, but it's also you're seeing the fact that these top programs in these sports aren't able to stockpile their rosters like they used to anymore. They're going where the money is, and that helps places like Arkansas because they can win. And now you're seeing it. You've seen it with Kendall Beth Sides coming over from Alabama. You've seen it from Bree Ellis coming from Auburn. You're seeing stellar players here. Tiana Bell this year coming over. You're seeing major, major talent coming to Arkansas, and Arkansas could be the new thing in the SEC. And if they get farther in the Women's College World Series, they can now be that elite status. That's what they were lacking, was going to the Women's College World Series, getting to Oklahoma City to be able to say, we're in that elite status, and now they're there.
And we've seen it, we've been talking about it with other sports, whether it's volleyball, whether it's soccer, whatever the case may be. We've made comparisons to softball and baseball. The only thing that was missing from they're Omahags for a reason. They're regulars in the postseason, and we knew that Coach Stiefel and the softball program would get to that point. It was just finally getting over the hump to get to that point. And, we've sat here and we've talked about what Texas Tech has done. I forget the name of the pitcher, but, last season, Texas Tech paid one of their pitchers $1 million in softball.
Oh yeah. Kennedy. Yeah. She was national. She played at Stanford. So I think she was national pitcher of the year, player of the year. Yeah.
So we're looking at a softball pitcher, and this is no knock to them, but I'm just comparing it to the other sports and what these players are getting paid. Texas Tech, they invested. Now we've talked about this too with Texas Tech when it comes to football, paying what they're paying and, it not paying off. But at the same time, I believe Texas got up to number 4 this last season in football. So Texas Tech, even though they haven't gotten there yet, you look at the sports, you look at what they're investing in, and while they haven't necessarily, we haven't won a national championship, they're still in the conversation since they started investing in it. So that just goes back to, I mean, just like we've seen with basketball. And yes, I know that we have the best recruiter in college basketball in John Calipari.
Yep.
You're also giving him the NIL money to go and get these players and whatnot. But you're seeing what has to happen. And even if you don't get there, because like we've talked about, you have to get lucky to win a national title. But at this point, like with everything balancing out, so we're not seeing the juggernauts, if you will. Everything is balancing out, especially across conferences. You know, we've seen the SEC kind of balance out a little bit. I just look at it like Arkansas sports in general. Like if Arkansas wants to, like, hey, we're relevant right now. Courtney Deifel got them there without the money. But you got to put up something to stay there.
Oh, yeah.
Because Texas Tech is putting up the money to at least stay there and be relevant and be in the conversation. So you've got a coach now that can get them there, but you've got to be able to maintain that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And two questions at once right here. I think you're dealing with a different kind of a fan base. There's a lot more money floating around with people who are into tennis, you know, tennis players, just from a, you know, geographical standpoint. You're going to have more money, like golf. Golf, tennis is the same kind of a thing. So you're going to have more alumni that have money. I'm not saying there isn't into softball, but I think where Deifel goes out and she talks to her people, and that's the thing. She knows what's going on with that. And I guarantee you have the Everetts. She's they do all, but the Tyson patch is bringing to softball, but they're still doing the Nuggets. Now, all the Nuggets, all the revenue from the Tyson Hog Nuggets go to NIL. So
I just want to touch on this. So a mil for a softball player, hard to believe.
Yes.
That was known. That was known before last season that Texas Tech paid that pitcher $1 million in NIL. So I know it's hard to believe, but that is where they were at.
That's
that is where college sports is at. You're paying $1 million for a pitcher in softball.
And they're back-to-back going to the College World Series. And, you know, it's one of those that I believe they made it to the final. They got beat by Texas, I believe, or I believe that's who won it all last year. Now, going back to Cal, I think Cal might run into a situation like Saban and what we're talking about, Gasso. You're not going to be able to do it at all on your own. Yes, he does bring all the recruits. He does bring all the, but we're seeing it. We're seeing other teams pay more money than what Arkansas is getting. And you're seeing Cal. Now, let's see how far he can go. But until he wins a national championship, I mean, it's still going to be there. Yes, he's getting all these NBA players, but when it comes to the grand scheme of it, other programs are getting more money. They're getting better coaches, not better coaches, but they're getting good coaches, and they're winning national championships. So it's not just yes, they are coming for Cal, but they're also coming for the money. And that's where basketball is a big thing, because there's more money. And when you can do it in softball, but you also, I give more credit to Coach Deifel as a person. Her just the vibe around her coaching staff, her players, they have always had a tight knit. I don't remember, I mean, maybe here and there, you know, having an issue inside the locker room one time that I remember.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're always a tight knit group. It's just they lacked just that depth to get them to where they are right now. It's one of them. Very proud of Coach Deifel, very proud of the Arkansas softball team. They play Thursday. I've floated around different times. I can't remember if it's set in stone, if it's 6 or 8:30 on Thursday. Let me go to the scoreboard. They will play 8:30 ESPN2 against Nebraska. And it's going to be one of the things. It'll be interesting to see who Deifel goes with game one. Does she ride with Robin Heron, or does she bring in Burnham? I'm pretty sure Nebraska's going to throw Jordy ball. So we'll see. But you also, the winner of that has UCLA, Alabama. So if you're playing long game, if you really like your chances against Nebraska, maybe go Timmerman, Burnham, and then bring in Robin. But the way Timmerman and Burnham's been playing, what did we say last week? If Robin Heron gets touched up, they have somebody to come in and bring in, brought somebody else in. They weathered the storm and then exploded, in both games. So
I think it's a situation now that we've talked about it in baseball and, some of the others that I think you throw whoever you can early that gives you the best chance, because I feel like you need to get ahead instead of playing for behind, because we've seen too many times that playing for behind, it does not bode well. So I don't know that I would go with Robin Heron to begin. And that's just because I just feel like that. I'm not saying she's on a slump, but I do feel like that right now there's others who have more of a touch than she has.
Yes.
So I feel like that you're in a situation that get ahead early because you don't know what's going to happen further on out. So this kind of goes back to our baseball talk before on winning those Friday games to start a series. So I feel like with this in Oklahoma City, winning the first game to get yourself ahead is where you need to go with it.
Yeah. And I agree. Peyton, 1.9 ERA, 14-3 on the season. Robin, 2.09 ERA, 16-6 on the year. And you look at their neck and neck. Robin's pitched 113 innings and Peyton's pitched 103 innings. And then you go Sailor, 73 innings, 53 strikeouts, but 42 walks. But again, this is a different team now. The batting side, you're Dakota Kennedy, Tiana Bell, Brinley Bain, Carly Davidson, Natalia Relo, Ellie McDowell. You have all but Kennedy Miller batting over 320 in your lineup. And Kennedy Miller is no slouch. She's got 27 RBIs, 3 home runs on the year. This team is solid. And they've shown that you could go from down 3-2 to your run ruling.
Yeah.
Or you could be up 5-4 and all of a sudden it's a run rule. This team is very dangerous. They got to lock in. They got to be ready for the whole going up against elite pitching. If they can lock in and get that monkey off their back, if they're not scared of who is there pitching against them, not saying they were, but if they go in there with that, knowing they're the best team there, they can win it all.
1,000%. And I think that's a big thing too that they're going to have to adjust to is not being in Fayetteville. So yes. I think that's going to be a big adjustment. But at the same time, we obviously know how Arkansas fans travel. So it's going to feel like a home game, but at the same time, you're not in your home stadium. So I think that could be, I'm not going to say an issue, but an adjustment for them, especially game one, just as you're getting a feel of everything. But yeah, not being in Fayetteville, I think is going to be a task for them to overcome.
Well, the good thing is they're leaving tomorrow. I believe there's a send-off tomorrow. I want to double check on that, but they're having a send-off. Let me make sure real quick. And before
and yeah, we've got,
Tuesday at noon, they're going to send off. So they're getting that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, we've got Fayetteville South. We've got, the Arkansas fans travel well. Yeah. So let's make Oklahoma City, Bogle West, show up, show out. I have no doubts about that, but we all know that when Arkansas fans travel, it's a home environment, no matter where they are. We've seen it in Madison Square Garden. We've seen it in Michigan. We've seen it in Dallas. We've seen it in Memphis. Like we've seen it all over. So I think that the Arkansas fans that are going to show up are going to be loud and proud. And they'll make it feel like a home game for these girls.
Yeah. And as mentioned, without OU being there, this is a perfect opportunity. They're leaving out tomorrow. So, it's almost like, okay, all right, girls, Wednesday, treat this like a museum. Get your oohs and ahs and the nostalgia, soak it in, look at, and then you're playing at 8:30. So maybe go watch a couple of the game or whatever. Get all the excitement, get all of that out of your system. That way you're not playing that very first game. and in the adjustment. You can see the crowd, you can feel the emotions. But the good thing is with playing in Bogle, it's going to be a little more jacked up. It's going to be like Bogle on steroids, but you're used to playing in a very, very good environment. And this being your first time, I don't think they're going to have a problem at all. I think they are going to turn this into Bogle West. I think that, and I'm going to look and see Women's College World Series. Continue. I'm just looking at tickets right now. The cheapest ticket right now is $162. So $162 is what you can pay to go to see Arkansas and Nebraska. And
so we've gone from giving away tickets to $162 to see them play.
Absolutely. Yeah. What we're going to do, we are going to take a quick commercial break. After the break, we'll start with the baseball, talk about the Lawrence region. They're going to Kansas. I'm going to call them Kansas until they can beat us at any sport. So Arkansas is heading to Kansas for the Lawrence regional, and we'll break that down. Did they get snubbed? After the break. Searching for premium brewery products that will take your daily routine to the next level? Look no further than Sterling Soap Company. Our handmade soaps, aftershaves, and balms are made with only the finest ingredients that give you the ultimate grooming experience. With a variety of scents to choose from, there's something for everyone. Plus, our products are crafted in small batches to ensure the highest level of quality. So why wait? Visit www.sterlingsoap.com or visit our retail store at 16 West Walnut Street in Paris, Arkansas. Shop our collection and discover the difference for yourself. Upgrade your grooming routine with Sterling Soap Company. Are you looking for a place to grab a cold drink and some delicious food? Look no further than Arkansas Brewing Company. Located at 201 South 1st Street in beautiful downtown Ozark, our establishment offers a wide selection of craft beers and tasty eats. But what sets us apart is our welcoming atmosphere and friendly staff. At Arkansas Brewing Company, you'll always feel like part of the family. So visit Destiny and Christopher Brockett and staff today and see for yourself what makes us the go-to spot for locals and visitors alike. Arkansas Brewing Company, come for the drinks and stay for the friends. Attention DIYers and home improvement enthusiasts. Are you searching for the right tools and the supplies to tackle your next project? Look no further than Mentor's Hardware Store. With locations in Ozark, Alma, and Clarksville, our vast selection of hardware and building materials is sure to have everything you need. Whether you're fixing a leaky faucet or building a new deck, most of our knowledgeable staff is always on hand to offer expert advice and guidance. And with our competitive prices and convenient online ordering, Mentor's Hardware Store is your one-stop shop for all your DIY needs. Visit us today and let's build something amazing together. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Look no further than ATU Ozark Campus. As a 2-year satellite campus of Arkansas Tech University, we're dedicated to a quality workforce education, industry partnerships for in-demand jobs, and tailored paths for success. Our programs are led by industry professionals. Whether it's a certificate or you're aiming for a graduate degree, ATU Ozark has you covered. Visit our website at www.atu.edu/Ozark or contact us at 479-667-2117. Your future begins here. Welcome to Ozark Area Chamber of Commerce, where our mission is simple: encourage, promote, and aid an enduring environment of shared economic opportunity and civic development for the Ozark, Arkansas area. Whether you're a local business owner or a resident, we've got something for you. Shop our unique local businesses, explore the beauty of Ozark, and savor local flavors and find cozy accommodations. Join us in building a stronger community. And to learn more, contact us at 479-667-2525. Remember, together we thrive. And welcome back to the Hog Talk Podcast. Now moving on to baseball. Arkansas will be headed off to the Lawrence region. Kansas got the host. When you look at it, I think it makes it more irritating that all the stories that are coming out that this conference tournament in essence meant nothing. I was talking to a couple of friends of mine, and you know, there was even statements and jokes about the committee put in their nominations before the conference tournament so they could have their their holiday weekend per se, but when you really look at Arkansas's season as a whole, that right there, just compartmentalize that. I could see why the committee wouldn't let them host. But when you throw in the teams that were right there before them and ahead of them, makes no sense on why they are not hosting. Kansas, Mississippi State. I mean, you had the director. I mean, I guess him and Hunter Yurchek are on the same wavelength when it comes to explaining these committee stories. I think maybe he got some pointers from it. But how can you sit there and say that Mississippi State had a harder conference schedule when you're in the same conference and Arkansas did way better, and yet they get to host? I know Arkansas had some losses, but when you look at the whole body of work, we keep on hearing this body of work, and how far they've come, and then go on the tear that they did. You talk about pitching was their big deal, and they come in and show out and make it to the championship game and run out of gas. I'm sorry, it ain't like they lost to some slouch team in the final. You got beat by a very good Georgia team in the final. And for them to come out and, with Hunter Dietz getting that scare, there's injuries. You don't even have to go to that tournament. And I guarantee you, we'll play a clip here in a second. You got loaded up that Dave Van Horn is going to really look at this thing a lot differently moving forward.
1000%. And, I was pretty vocal last week before on Arkansas not hosting without winning the SEC championship. I thought that was the only way for them to be able to host. But hearing the explanation of why that they're not, I think is utter nonsense. And I just look at that, and here I was talking about why Arkansas wouldn't host a regional. I still don't necessarily think that they deserve to, but at the same time, when you came out with nonsense reasons of why that they aren't, and the schools that are hosting are the ones that none of it makes sense. And yes, wholeheartedly, I feel like they watched some Hunter Yurchek videos on how we need to explain this, because it doesn't make sense. But no, I'll play the Dave Van Horn clip right quick, just because this is you can hear it in his tone of voice, you can hear it in his demeanor and what he says. He doesn't agree with it, and I think a lot of this too is not necessarily saying like, hey, I'm not saying we deserve it, but the reason that was given was nonsense.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's the tone I get from Dave Van Horn in this clip I'm about to play.
It's interesting because everyone I had spoke with before the game and then after the game that associated with the tournament and the Southeastern Conference said we were in good shape, and so that kind of threw a little, maybe a little confidence in there. And then we were on the bus, we all showered and got on the bus and we're heading to the airport when I think they posted the 16 sites. We were a little taken back. We thought we're going to get one. We had heard after we won the first two, we were in good shape. But we felt like we needed to win that third one to make sure. And, we used McElvain for like 4 innings. So it makes you wonder about the tournament a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he has every right to feel that way and think, because it was like I said, I didn't think that Arkansas would get there without winning it all, winning the SEC title. It was just, the reasoning is suspect. The reasoning is nonsense. Mm-hmm. And we look at, because this is one thing that we've talked about, others have talked about whenever it comes to host sites. There's no better host site than Fayetteville, Arkansas. So that's one thing too. When we talk about money, we talk about bringing in the revenue, we talk about all this stuff. There's no better place than Baum-Walker Stadium. So this is just truly, I feel like, I truly feel like Hunter Yurachek had to say in all this. I'm not saying he actually did, but at the same time, the whole explanation and all the host sites that were named, whatever, this has Hunter Yurachek written all over it.
Oh yeah. And I think when if you look at the schedule, I mean, everything out of it. I mean, they didn't win 40 games. You're 39-20. You had some horrible losses. It's when you look at everything around you, you look at a couple of teams like Nebraska. I'm looking at their record. They were 42-15 overall, 23-1 at home, 23-7 in conference. Okay, checks out. You go to the same when I was looking at West Virginia, same conference, but it's that Mississippi State, Kansas that just really throws me off. Okay, we're going to a 2 seed, but when you look at the grand scheme of it, and this is when you're wanting to elevate your game, and you're wanting to elevate like you said, revenue. Why wouldn't you choose Arkansas over a Nebraska, let's say, or a Kansas? Mississippi State's going to have a draw because the stadium there is on par with Arkansas. Maybe it's not better. But when you look at Kansas, 2,500 stadium, the capacity, I mean, what are we doing here with that? It's almost like you're giving a host to a team that cannot facilitate bringing 4 teams in and having a tournament. And I understand that if by and far they were better than Arkansas, maybe, but then you throw in the Mississippi State debacle and saying, well, they had a tougher this and tougher that, but Arkansas wasn't the only one that got screwed. Mercer was talking, they were talking about, their RPI, and they didn't go play all these people, and then come to find out they did. This guy, all in all, baseball's not followed like college football. So you got a guy, you throw him on the screen, he's probably thinking, we just didn't take much time into it because we don't care into it because it's not as like it was college football or college basketball. So all in all, say that, you got to brush it off. You're 2 seed. You've got Missouri State. And I guarantee you, even if Arkansas would have hosted, you could have had these same teams at your place.
1,000%.
So that's another thing. You got a Missouri State team, and I think, what does Arkansas need? They need a boost. What better boost to give them a 2 seed? What if let's throw a little conspiracy theory out there. What if Dave Van Horn said, give us a 2 seed? We don't deserve a 1 seed. Humble us a little bit. Let's put a chip on our shoulder. Now, I know this is not even close, but still yet. Give us a 2 seed. Give us that chip on our shoulder. Give us that motivation to go to Kansas, win, and then we're going to be matched up with Georgia Tech, and let's go to Omaha.
Just for old time's sake, we'll do this for our conspiracy theories.
Join me for these intriguing and fascinating cases on tonight's edition of Unsolved Mysteries.
And tonight on Razorback Unsolved Mysteries,
exactly.
Dave Van Horn asked the committee for the 2 seed.
Yeah. I mean, and I could see it too. And we've talked about that before in other sports, even of playing against your record or your ranking, rather. So we've talked about also different teams in the past getting hot at the right time, being that team that Arkansas inevitably always ended up facing and beating Arkansas. Now is the time for Arkansas to become that team. Now is the time to take not being able to host, take being a 2 seed, take it as a slap in the face and run with it, because you've faced these teams in the past, whether it's been in Omaha, whether it's been in Supers, whatever. You've faced these teams in the past, so now is the time for the Arkansas Razorback baseball team to be that team that goes on a tear.
Yeah. I've reached out to a couple of people, Kevin Bohannon, we talked about him, and Andrew Ellis, guys that covered, just to get their take, because they're the ones they cover the baseball. Andrew Ellis, he was talking about he loves the draw. He thinks that, in his opinion, people don't the fans won't give Kansas the credit or the respect that Kansas. Yes, thank you for clarifying that. Missouri's not going to be a cakewalk by any means, but you have to feel good about the matchup since they haven't seen they've always played Arkansas in these midweeks. So they're going to not see the top arms Arkansas has, but he did say by far Arkansas is the most talented team in that group. And then of course, Cabo, he was just saying it's a winnable region. It won't be easy. He said he's shocked that Arkansas matched them up with Missouri State because they have played twice. They usually don't do that. They like to avoid the rematches in the committee, but the health of Hunter Dietz will determine how far Arkansas will go. That was his end quote right there. So they did get a scare with that, and thank goodness that it wasn't what they initially thought. Hunter is okay. It was a breath of fresh air. I believe it was his dad that put the tweet out that he was okay. So that's one of them that'd have been a damaging blow to the team of knowing how you are already in your pitching staff, and to lose your ace. And then you have everything on top of that now with this SEC tournament didn't even mean anything. I think there has to be something said about these things, because when you're pretty much saying this whole tournament and you go play 3 games, 4 games, 5 days, and the wear and tear it puts on your team, your pitching, it's not like basketball, football. Like we said, you have to get your rotation. You can't just throw your starting quarterback out there every game. It is a disservice to any of these teams who thought they had a chance and then got screwed in the end, not just Arkansas. There's a lot of teams that you might as well just stop playing these conference tournaments if they're not going to mean anything. That you can't tell me that the SEC tournament brings in that much revenue. It's a meaningless tournament.
Well, and we even heard from other Arkansas, media outlets and whatnot, or I at least heard it on, some of the radio shows that, especially like the first game or two, I mean, Arkansas fans didn't travel. And right, like I get it, I understand. And that's a lot of it. We've talked about it in other sports too. These tournaments don't matter unless you're that team that's trying to earn your spot by getting an automatic bid by winning the tournament. We already knew that Arkansas was going to be in, and same obviously with Georgia. There was no issues there. I just feel like conference tournaments need to go away. The format is terrible, like we've talked about. It does nothing. I would rather them just have another, and not just them, but other. I mean, just throw in another SEC series for all the schools and do away with the tournament.
Yeah,
just add your more games. You're going to add 3 more games, and not worry about everything else, and just play another series, because the SEC tournament does nothing for you.
Yeah. Well, and another thing, you're talking about travel. You break up a good point. Think about all these people that go to freaking Omaha and they're there for 2 weeks. You're going. Let's cancel out the conference tournament, because now you have fans going to Hoover, and then they're going to Kansas, then they're going to go to Omaha. I mean, if Arkansas makes it, and we've seen how many times people are going to these games in Omaha and they advance to the next weekend or the next week, and they're like, what games do we go to? How do we make it travel wise? How can we afford to go to Omaha and stay there for 2 weeks and watch Arkansas play? So you cut out, and that could be another thing, because the expectations going into our expectations, we didn't think they would make it to the finals. We seen that they had a good draw. I seen where them playing Texas and then everything playing out, they had a chance to make it to the championship game, but I didn't think the pitching was going to hold up. So you cut that part out of it. Now, guess what? Fans are going to be more inclined to, you're hosting a regional, you're there, and then supers or go over supers, they're going to have more funds, they're going to have more fun, and they're going to go back to Omaha and be able to stay longer if Arkansas advances.
And I mean, everything is about, the end all be all is money. We're seeing it in college basketball with the expansion of the NCAA tournament, going from 68 to 76 teams, whatever it's going to be. And so that's why it kind of baffles me, some of the host sites here in college baseball, because, like we brought up with Kansas, I mean, y'all literally have like almost a tenth of what Arkansas has when it comes to seeding, when it comes to the fans, when it comes to, so I just don't understand the mindset behind it. And some of it too, I just feel like it's just a punishment, a slap in the face, whatever the case may be. But Arkansas needs to take that and use it to your advantage and figure out your issues that you've had this season. And like I said earlier, become that team that gets hot at the right time, smack some other teams in the mouth, and get this thing done. Because like we've talked about, time was of the essence for Dave Van Horn. So we didn't expect this season to go the way that it did, but I feel like Arkansas can be the most dangerous team in the postseason if they get their head right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at how they did it in the conference, the championship. I mean, and that's another thing. What if they got hot at the right time, and instead of you getting hot in the conference tournament, you're getting hot in regionals?
Yeah.
And then you're just taking 3 games, let's say it's 3 games. You're taking 3 games out of the equation or 4 games out of the equation, and you get hot in regionals. Then you advance to super. You get a good draw like a Georgia Tech where you feel like you're the better team. And all that does is help more teams that can go further in Omaha. And I think there was a comment about Little Rock. Yeah, they are in the Hattiesburg regional. They're with Southern Miss, Jacksonville State, and Virginia. So they are the 4 seed. So they are going to be playing Southern Miss and I'm going to see who they get matched up with. I don't see. They'd be matched up with an 8 seed in the Supers. So let's go to Omaha.
As long as Arkansas can stay out of UCLA's way, because like I've talked about before on things working in your favor, getting a little bit of luck, UCLA getting knocked out before Omaha would be ideal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, even, what if that's another thing you got to look at? I mean, let's just look at that Georgia Tech regional. Mm-hmm. You have OU, Citadel, and Illinois, Chicago. I mean, OU might get hot and win that thing. Well, then guess what? Arkansas hosts their super regional. You never know if Arkansas gets past that. When you look at Southern Miss, they are going to be against Florida. So if Little Rock goes on a run, they win that regional, they'll be paired up with the Florida Super Regional. So it's here, postseason. Got the Omaha Hogs hat behind me. If indeed they win, had the softball helmet on, but best of luck to both teams. Again, I cannot stress enough how elated I am for Coach Deifel, how proud I am for the whole team and the people that played before this team, talking about how much it meant to them to see this.
Yeah.
How much it meant to all the former players who come back and was hugging Coach Deifel afterwards, sent Coach Deifel a heartfelt message that evening. And it's just one of the things you love to see people win. You love to see that program get there. It's what I wanted for the basketball program with Coach Neighbors, and it just never got to that point. And it's like you wanted something like that for all the programs, and seeing it happen finally for softball made my weekend.
Oh, absolutely. And like we said earlier, this is just the testament on Coach Deifel has done her part. This team has done their part. And so now they need the backing to continue this, just because of the landscape of college sports. But there is no better coach in college softball, in my opinion, than Courtney Deifel.
Absolutely. I think she should be Coach of the Year this year. Yeah. I think you give her Coach of the Year just for the job she's done. Finally having this team together, getting to Oklahoma City, but they'll play Thursday 8:30 against Nebraska. So our show Thursday will be leading up to that game. So we'll be back Thursday 6:05 to have a pre-show for the game, talk about other things going on. Adam, you got anything else?
I don't.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Hog Talk podcast. Want to thank everybody. And also, before we go, don't forget, betting odds are out by Bet Saracen. If you have not signed up yet, sign up. HOG250 is the promo code. Your first bet of $25 gets you $250 in free bets. Terms do apply. So download the app, Bet Saracen, HOG250. Bet 25 gets you 250 in free bets. Terms apply. For Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and we will catch you on Thursday.